Hi, I'm Wendy Burge. Welcome to the Radiant Edge podcast, the podcast for soul-led experts building bold, aligned businesses. I'm here to help you create a business that feels just as good on the inside as it looks on the outside, because you're not here just to sell, you're here to lead movements, shape ideas, and amplify your radiance. This podcast will help you claim your radiant edge, your unique positioning, voice, and value to help you do this. The Radiant Edge was an idea I started 17 years ago when I was struggling to find ways to position my own professional services that aligned with me and my transformational experience I was creating with my clients. And everything I read, watched, and listened to felt completely counterintuitive to how I operated my business. And at the time, I was an art therapist and a wellness coach, and I wanted to have a better understanding of how to market my business so it felt more aligned and authentic. But I found very little out there that didn't make me sound like a used car salesman hawking my wares. And then I came across this little book called Spiritual Marketing. And it turned everything around for me, and it did not negate my own being to sell, but used philosophical principles to drive marketing into an aligned and conscious path that was much more inclusive to how I was as a person. And it became the place where I began to help my clients to work in the depth of their own expertise, their own lived wisdom, and their energetic truth. And to be honest, that was the start of Radiant Edge Consulting, my business that I've had for 17 years and what this podcast is based off of. That I've seen over these years as working with clients where self-identity begins to meet powerful positioning. And it's really not about being louder. It's about being clear, truer, and more of you, yourself. And when you're in alignment, your offers convert, your messaging resonates, and your visibility turns into magnetism. And 17 years later, I've coached nearly 1,000 clients using some of these very topics I want to explore on this podcast. And this podcast is a culmination of my life experience as an entrepreneur, as a mompreneur to be exact, as a spiritual business owner, and as well as a woman who has done things unconventionally to create business that has engaged, has grown, and has created impact for others. I often joke that I'm the secret weapon for many clients, and I rarely am the public face in my marketing. But I decided that it's time to open up and be more public about why I love doing what I do and how I can help you see the brilliance in your own blind spots. So today is the initial launch, sharing and talking about my business and what you can expect from this podcast moving forward. This podcast is meant for people who are coaches and consultants or experts with many years of experience who are tired of over-explaining their brilliance. You've done the marketing courses, you've built the decent offer, but you're still not getting conversion to clients. Maybe you're finally ready to lead with confidence and learn how to speak from your authority and discover how to build offers that reflect your actual transformation. And if you've done all of this and yet you're not getting the traction, then what we really need to talk about is your true visibility. And not the kind of visibility that you see with influencer marketing and social media, but the kind that when you step into the room, people see your authority just in the way that you carry yourself, the way you speak, and the way you present. That is not something that you can just buy off the shelf from another coaching program. It's deep within you, and that is the work that I love doing with my clients. This podcast is meant to help fill a gap that I see in the market for thought leadership that isn't just about how to put talking points and words out there, but it's also really practical on the basis of energy. What's the energy behind us that helps us move into this space? Most marketing advice tells you to follow a formula, but if that formula is not aligned with your energetic blueprint, it's not going to work for you. I know this firsthand. I've seen it in clients who've tried to fit into a new coaching program and it's just not energetically aligned with the way that they do things. Insert human design. I discovered using human design in my business quite some time ago. Human design is more than a personality test. It's the culmination of many science and esoteric studies blended to present an invaluable blueprint for your beingness. the conscious and unconscious drivers that make up you. And you will learn more as we talk about this inside this podcast, because it's a tool that I decided to adopt and bring forward to my clients and not keep it a hidden secret for myself. And here's why. What I've discovered is that by understanding how I operate through this treasure map that's within me, which I access through my human design report, I understand how I am wired to respond to life, including the changes and challenges inside of my business. And it allows me to genuinely be better at being myself. And it's why I can attribute to understanding myself better and delivering grounded and strategic solutions to my clients. So this show is really to help you clarify your message and amplify your presence by introducing you to yourself through human design in order to build aligned offers that grow your business without burning you out, making you second guess yourself, or help you get unstuck from the places where you might be feeling like you're sliding backwards. By understanding how you operate and blending this with these core principles for engaging marketing and thought leadership, you'll discover how to be truly aligned in authenticity. I hope you'll give yourself permission to let go of some of the stuff that's not been working for you and makes you feel like you're pushing against a boulder. I want for you to lean into the flow of how you are innately meant to have a business you dream about, the impact you want to create, and to amplify the radiant edge, the energy and essence uniquely yours. I plan to develop some bingeable content with episodes that are blending messaging, marketing strategy, positioning, and soulful sales with human design. Because this whole element of trying to figure it out on your own when you struggle with marketing and sales is actually one of my superpowers. I can see things in people, I can read their energy, and I've witnessed a real sense of disappointment as they're explaining why they're struggling within their business, believing that everybody else around them in business is smarter than them about this. And I'm here to tell you that it is not the truth. So if you get stuck and don't understand how you operate, many of these things create a lot of resistance. I see clients hit walls all the time when reality is there's nothing magical about the marketing strategy, but there is something magical when you tap into your own truth and discover how to build from there. So now I'm bringing human design into my business, as it seems to be the next elevated piece for me to engage with people who desire to have a greater impact, but need to find that anchor point within themselves. And I'm hoping that this marriage between business strategy and positioning, and then having the secret weapon called human design, which is really a treasure map that's already inside of you, will give you the ability to come forward in a full circle and say, you know what? I do know what I need to be doing. I need to learn here. I need more resourcing there. I need to rely on others for this. And I want people to stop and take a breath and understand that you're stepping into the business of life by discovering your human design and understanding the basis of good marketing and sales, that you will build and grow something that will be next level from just being in service of what you've been selling over the last 5, 10, or 15 years. And finally, we're going to talk about how to package up your brilliance, that knowledge that's really uniquely you, because it is one of your most valuable assets that you possess. And this idea to package up your brilliance is something at some point in your business makes absolute sense to sit down and understand. You have a core process of how you see things and weave it into an offer that is really uniquely branded to you and your experience. Of course, then this leads to the conversation about content as a thought leader. Your marketing cannot exist if you do not understand what you're selling. They go hand in hand. And when you understand what you're selling, then you have some dynamic talking points that are going to allow you to have engaging platforms, whether it's written content, spoken content, or in person and online. And the last thing I want to look at is, how do we know when we're ready for the next evolution in our business? There is often this place where I see people teetering between, should I, shouldn't I, do I move forward, what do I do to move forward? And they aren't sure how to communicate it and really test it out. So I'm going to talk about what we can do to bring new ideas forward, test them, and try them in creating this next evolution of your work. As you move into this stage of your business, these conversations are not for the beginners. These are for intermediate and advanced professionals who may have long careers in corporations, ready to step out on their own who have never had to sell themselves before, is for people who build businesses out of their own personal experiences, and they're not sure how to communicate where it doesn't feel like they're always talking about themselves all the time. The final group of people who will benefit from this podcast are people who have been doing their work as an entrepreneur, sharing their services for many years, and they've invested heavily in a lot of coaching and training. Yet there's a disconnect between where they are in their business versus how they are showing up in the market space. I want to welcome you aboard to this podcast, and I look forward to having great conversations. I hope that you'll subscribe to it, whether it's here in Substack, where I'm going to be using this platform, or where your favorite podcasts are hosted. I'm a real person. I do real work with clients, and you can find more information about me, Wendy Burge, at my website, radiantedgeconsulting.com. I thank you for your time, and I look forward to this journey together.